Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahavinyam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So we'll be doing verse 14 today of chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. And the 13th verse was, all the rishis have thus declared you, as also the Deva Rishi Narada, so also Asita, Devala and Vyasa, and now the same you yourself say to me. So Arjuna had heard from Krishna Bhagavan directly who God is and all that, and who Krishna is. In first person he heard, and then he's like, wow, this is all the same stuff. So that's what he said. All the rishis have declared you, and then he mentioned certain rishis, and we went more in detail. So with that, we go. And now this particular verse is explaining what Shraddha is. So keep that in mind. Here's verse 14. Sarvametadrutam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagvan vyaktim vidurdevana danavaha. Sarvam, we know the word all. Etat is this. Ritam. Now this one, you can literally write an essay on this word ritam. It's something to do with truth, but we'll see the analysis. It's used in the Vedanta, this word ritam. And if you remember, in Taittiriya Upanishads, Shanti part, they have ritam word. And it has come before also. Manye, think. Yat, which. Mam is to me. Vadasi, say. Whatever you are saying, I consider it ritam or truth. Keshavaha. So this is the name of Krishna, we know that. And in Bhagavad Gita, there's a lot of psychology involved in how they addressed each other. It was directly related to the point they were discussing. It is very, very interesting that how deep they go into this. Keshava means one who removes all sorrows. Once you surrender to him, Krishna Bhagavan removes all your sorrows. So that's what he's looking for, Arjuna. So you addresses him as Keshava. Na is not. He is verily. Te is yours. Bhagwan, we know, blessed Lord, or addressing him. So he's addressing him as a Keshav and a Bhagwan. Vyaktim, manifestation. So यहाँ पर व्यक्ति मतलब हम लोग बोलते हैं some person, but it is the context over here is manifestation. A person is also manifestation of all his thoughts and all, like we saw. Vidu is to know. That's where the word Vedas have come, to know. Deva, gods. No, not. Danava. Danava like Rakshasas, or the word Danav. There are several words for the similar meanings of it. So what is he trying to say over here? Arjuna is saying, whatever I've heard from the rishis and you, I believe that it is true. So he declares that to Krishna. And so he's saying Ritam Manye. So Ritam, I was saying, that is a very loaded word. So I was trying to see if we can understand it a little better, because it will be good for us. It comes again and again in Vedanta. So it is something to do with the path also, the Ritam. That's what it is. So one is like a truth, which is Bhagwan, which is at the purest sense, that Brahman, all pervading and all that. How to get to it, all that comes under Ritam, the actual real path, not confused one. What the Vedas are declaring. Like that we have to think. So how do we express this? The highest moral and ethical order. Dharma is also Ritam. So this is like there is absolute truth, whereas Ritam is like dynamic principle, they call it. That manifests the truth for us. So this is what Ritam means. So when Arjun says Ritam, he means so much behind it. So in Upanishad, they always say Ritam and Satyam come together, because even in the Shanti part, it was together. We'll see. And then it's not just like any concept, but active force. That's how they explain it. Ritam is an active force which upholds the reality. So the conclusion is that it is not just an external law, but a guiding principle for spiritual seekers. So that's what he's saying, that this is Ritam manye, मैं उसको Ritam की तरह से देखता हूँ. And then the other way that somebody was expressing it, it's the alignment of one's being with the fundamental truth in order for our existence. Meaning, truth we understood, and now how to get there, how do I align with that truth, or how do I practice that? So what happens is, by living in accordance with Ritam, one can move towards self-realization. So all that what Bhrigu was doing was Ritam, unity with Brahman. That's what Ritam is. That's how deep it is. Some of these Sanskrit words are just absolutely unbelievable. There is no way you can translate it into any other language, because it doesn't have that depth that has. And to even understand, you have to literally write an essay and read it, all these things. But I thought that was very interesting. So what Arjun's stage is right now is as though he's saying to Krishna Bhagavan, look, I have not experienced this whole thing yet, but I accept it as true, as Ritam. So that is what we call Shraddha. Something that I believe in, I know 100% it exists. That's why I have Shraddha, but I have not experienced it. So Shraddha is what? To accept what the scriptures are saying. And I think all of you have Shraddha. That's why you drop everything and come for this class. If you think, I say hokey pokey, you won't even come. So I know you have Shraddha. I have Shraddha, but just analyzing it further what it is. And then obviously what the scriptures are saying is true, and what the teacher is explaining is also true. You have to have Shraddha in the teacher also. Because, sometimes the words of scriptures can be confusing, cannot be clear, and the teacher is the one who kind of expresses it. So उसमें भी श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए. And then what Nikhilanand ji was bringing some points. That main point is that we cannot experience what they are saying until we follow the process. And that's where Arjuna had heard everything. That's why उसको सब याद आ गया. जब कृष्ण भगवान ने बोला ना, वो सब different things he told, expressing, he said, अरे मैंने तो पहले भी सुना है ये. मैंने अपने गुरुकुल में सुना है, मैंने ऋषियों मुनियों से सुना है, आप भी बोल रहे हो. So Nikhilanand ji, he likes to give a good example, worldly example, so we understand what Shraddha is. So we get depth of Shraddha, what it means. So suppose somebody comes to you, and tries to give you a mithai, say, hey, taste this is really sweet. Right? He tells, some kind of laddu or something, anything, So just by listening or understanding from what that person is saying, you cannot experience the sweetness. How sweet it is, whether it's less sweet, more sweet. The person is just saying it. But what Nikhilanand ji was pointing out, that before experiencing the sweetness, first we have to accept the words of that person. Hey, what he's telling, it's true. That is called Shraddha. Okay? So because if we don't have Shraddha in that person, we won't eat it. And what kind of doubts we could have? This is just a worldly example to give a point. But, that we'll say, oh, ye kuch purana laddu le aaya hoga apne ghar se, and he's just trying to get rid of it. That's why he's telling me to eat. You won't eat it because you don't have the Shraddha in that person. Or worst case scenario, so, usme kuch dala hua hai. Poison. I'm saying just an example. Huh? Don't take it seriously. Just an example to drive a point. Isme kuch poison dala hua hai. Main to nahi khati isko. That all that doubt, you won't do it. So he's saying that then the action will not happen. You will not take it. You will not experience. So that's what he was trying to drive, that point, that Shraddha is required for the action to happen. Otherwise, he was almost saying that movement won't happen without Shraddha in the unknown field. Because it's unknown. You don't know for real, whether it's true or not. Because if it's unknown, then you will not go there if you don't have Shraddha. That's why it is so important. So for us, enlightenment is an unknown field at present because we don't have the experience. So that's why we need to have a Shraddha, so we'll move in that direction. And what they are saying, we'll try to do and not make up our own methods of doing it, but we have to follow what they are saying, you know. So what he was just saying that we know it intellectually, but for us, it will not be totally proven until we experience it. So that's why all the Shraddha thing comes. And experience is a final proof. And experience will happen when we move in that direction. That's why Krishna Bhagwan ne chapter 4 में ही बोल दिया था, श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम. 4th chapter में उसको बोला था, अभी जाके उसको श्रद्धा बढ़ी है उसकी. You know, you can see कितना time लगा उसको. You know, so it's what does Shraddhavan Labte Jnanam means? We all know Shraddha. Without Shraddha, you cannot gain knowledge. You need Shraddha to gain knowledge. So another way of looking at it, Nikhilanjan was explaining, faith is like a temporary thing in a sense that Shraddha will lead to knowledge. And once the knowledge has happened, Shraddha has fulfilled itself. You know, it's the final culmination of Shraddha has happened. And I think there is a famous saying by, I think it was Carl Jung who said that in the outside world, you believe what you see. In the inside world, you see what you believe. You know? It's a very, very famous saying, and you should think about what he said. It's very beautiful. Okay. So another thing, very important point that Nikhilanandji brought, and we should think about that. He's saying the problem is that many people just remain at the level of Shraddha only. They don't move forward. You know? So he's saying that that's the danger, that faith does not convert into experience. So we have to keep striving until he does. That's what mainly he was trying to say. Because what happens is, if you get totally stuck at the Shraddha level, it becomes like a blind faith after a while, you know. So that's why he was cautioning that. I thought that was a very important point he said. So Bhagwan, that's what he's saying, that you follow this path and you will experience my nature, you know. And so that's what Arjuna is saying, okay, I trust you now. And then he also says in the second line of this verse, he says that I know that neither the Devata nor the Danavs know your origin, your Utpatti. So different people have analyzed it differently. Swamiji, Chinmayanandji, he goes in a lot of depth about subjective, and whoever has read it, I can see Meenaji smiling, she already read it. Very, very beautiful analysis of it. And when we read it, we will do it. But even if you just say the words, okay, we know who are Devata, the good people, jo Swarg Lok ke hai, you know, they are more sattvic people, and Danavas are all the Rajasic and Tamasic, you know, doing kind of bad things and all that. He's saying that Dono cannot comprehend you, but he did say that the rishis know you. Remember that. And when he said, Devarshi Narad, you know, he has said that Devarshi bhi devta ke group mein se hain, पर बाकी देवता को इतना नहीं एक्सपीरियंस है जितना इनको है, देवर्षि को. So you can look at it that way too, that hey, devtas and danavs don't know you, but the rishis know you. You know, they can comprehend you. Other people are just running around ignorant. So that's what he's saying. So, and then, Nikhilanandji is very funny. He said, Krishna Bhagwan was just listening, because this is also Arjuna Uvacha. This is what the verse that we did, Arjuna is saying, right? He said, Bhagwan is just listening right now. He's not even saying thank you. मेरी बड़ाई कर रहा है भाई. खुश होके thank you भी नहीं बोल रहे उसको. Just listening. If you want to praise me, go ahead, praise me. Don't worry. So Arjuna says further in the next verse. So we will do that next time. But this one is mainly on Shraddha and the Devata and Danavs and all that. Any question? Any comment before we go further?
Umaji, I was just thinking, Lord must be very happy, at least satisfied that he understands me. Just like, we talk to you and you feel like, okay, somebody understands me and you feel good about it. It's just like that, that he
Absolutely.
must be
Yeah.
a different feeling when you see your students or somebody you're telling understands you.
Yeah, and he's like excited about hearing more and asking more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's why the Shastras are so effective when they are in conversational style.
Yes.
Rather than just because, and then you can imagine more stuff because you put yourself into it. Here, this is how I'm feeling, and how each other they must be feeling about it. Arjun is very excited, and so must be Krishna Bhagwan.
Exactly.
Finally मेरी बात सुन रहा है. First chapter में तो बहुत दुखी हो रहा, and he doesn't even look that dukhi. The way he was so depressed and upset, now from his words he's looking like excited to learn, and then finally I'm gonna get something.
It's move forward.
Yes, yes. So right, you're so right. Yeah.
So that was nice.
So Umaji, I brought this Swamiji's calendar.
Yeah.
So you were just saying, he wrote, faith is to believe what you do not see, the reward of which is you see what you believe.
Yes, exactly right. उन्होंने और भी उसको deep बना दिया कि it's a reward. Absolutely. Because some people get so confused with the blind faith versus Shraddha. Shraddha is not blind faith. In Shraddha, your intellect is behind you. You have heard things that are convincing you deeply that it exists. In the beginning, you have to say ki maybe I'm not sure, but as you go deeper and deeper, the Shraddha increases. And then when we come to chapter 17, he's going to say that it's like श्रद्धा के बिना तो कोई कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता है, बिकॉज विजन श्रद्धा नहीं है. श्रद्धा सभी में होती है, लेकिन क्या चीज में श्रद्धा है, दैट्स व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. किसी को पैसे में श्रद्धा होती है, किसी में दुनिया में श्रद्धा होती है, किसी को फैमिली में श्रद्धा होती है, पर श्रद्धा सभी को है. So all that analysis we will do. So Shraddha also उसमें पूरा chapter कर दिया भगवान. Chapter 17. When we come to it, we will do it. So
is it like a passion?
Yes, passion comes from Shraddha. It's a driving force, they call it. Because it's something like this. When we sit in a commercial plane, we just buy a ticket, we look at, some major airlines. And when you're sitting in the plane, you have a Shraddha in that pilot, that the person has hired a right person who's not drunk and who knows what he's doing, and he's going to keep his eyes open and not fall asleep. So श्रद्धा के बिना तो काम चल ही नहीं सकता हमारा. बट यहाँ पर वो श्रद्धा को उन्होंने स्पिरिचुअल एंगल से देखा है कि भाई उसमें श्रद्धा है. बिकॉज one of the biggest difficulty in Vedanta is it's a very subtle subject. Nobody can show you these things, So that's why they do all the analysis. But लोगों में patience नहीं होता है वो analysis को. That's why उन्होंने बोला विचार करो जाके. So, it is a hard work of a different kind. Not physical, but mental hard work, So that's what it is, yeah. Who would like to read? Any volunteers? Neeluji, you stop reading. Why is that? I can't hear you. You are muted.
Put her on the spot, Umaji, huh?
With my friends, I can put everybody on spot, right? It's okay. I don't want to put pressure on you. That's fine. So anyway, I have to go back to today Anilji is not there, so I'm going to just depend on, Meenaji.
I am happy to read.
Oh, you are? Very good. Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was trying to unmute myself. So, yeah.
And we saw the whole thing going round and round, but now you did it.
Sorry, I dropped my phone actually.
Oh, I was wondering कि आप ऐसे गोल चक्कर कैसे खा रही हैं? That's okay.
नहीं, मेरा फोन भाग रहा था मेरे से.
आज छोड़ेंगे नहीं आपको. चलो.
नहीं, it is my pleasure to read. So, Hanji, so I believe all this that you say to me as true. O Kesava, verily, O blessed Lord, neither the Devas nor the Danavas know your manifestation identity.
Yeah, you can
Shall
go
I
further.
carry
Yeah,
on?
carry on.
Here, Arjuna exposes himself and expresses his unfaltering faith in his teacher, and he confesses, I regard all that you say to me as truth. Kesava is one who removes all sorrows of those who have surrendered to him. Even though he accepts as truth all that Krishna says, he cannot comprehend the significance of the Lord's declarations. In short, Arjuna admits here that his heart is satisfied and is overflowing with faith and belief. But this intellect is starved and is thirsting.
So this is very nicely Swamiji analyzes. He say, okay, I believe everything that you are saying, but because he उसको experience नहीं हुआ, his intellect is still, उसको doubt भी नहीं बोल सकते हैं, उनको लगता है कब मुझे वो experience मिलेगा. You know, that's the anxiety. This is mumukshutvam, literally. He's developed now. You know, he really wants to go further, and something is still missing. And we know exactly what, because we also have the same feeling, right? Yeah.
The thirst to know, under which the famished personality of Arjuna groans, is echoed in the second half of the first line. When he admits that neither the Devas nor the Danavas know your personality. The Danavas are the sons of Danu, who frequently challenge the heavens, obstruct and sacrifice, and lead generally an undivine life. Devas are highly sensitive denizens of the heaven, who are described in the Puranas as persons who have subtler perceptions, stronger emotions, and mightier intellectual comprehensions than the mortals.
So he's just telling you, we know that, you know, the Devas or Danav kaun hai. So he's just telling you further ki, you know, they were sons of Danu, and there are all different kind of stories about them. Kahan se aaye hain wo, and they're just.
I never knew that Danavs were from Danu.
Yeah, that may be one of the Puranic stories, because the other one is. There was a rishi, उसके I'm trying to think उनका नाम क्या था. I think भृगु ही था, but वो same भृगु नहीं होगा जो ये तैत्तिरियों में है. Yeah, maybe I don't remember the name, but उनकी दो पत्नियां थी. एक से देवता पैदा हुए थे और एक से दानव हुए थे. You know? So उसका kind of क्या बोले symbolic meaning ये है कि जो negative और positive quality है ना, वो हमारे मन से ही आती है. So both उसके जो parents है वो same ही है. Father especially, you know, mother was two different people. And basically क्या था कि जो देव है ना, they are more sattvic qualities. And जो दानव हैं वो are kind of rajasic and tamasic ज़्यादा है. And when we do chapter 16, you know, it will call, you know, Devi quality and Asuri they call it. You know, Asur, Danav, Rakshas, Rakshas is supposed to be like the worst. You know, but these are, so when it comes to Asuri quality, you know, like our teacher used to say, don't think that they're talking about somebody else, here, with some horns and all that. No, we have those tendencies within us also. You know, so you have to overcome them. Because sometimes these negative thoughts that come in our mind, and we are not very proud of those thoughts also. Right? Sometimes, you know, we know they are wrong, but as long as we don't engage with them, that's the most important thing. So that's why there are so many things involved with this Dev and Dana, you know, who they are and things like that, you know. And then we saw that he's saying that the Devas are subtler perception, stronger emotion, mightier intellect. All of them, which we want to develop also. But just by those things, you cannot understand God. That's what he's trying to say, you know.
Subjectively, Devas stand for the nobler and the higher comprehensions in us, and the Danavas for the hosts of negative urges in each bosom. Arjuna, the son of Kunti, is expressing his despair that the identity of the self can be fixed up neither by the subtle and the noblest of our perceptions, nor can we apprehend this self through our Danavas like challenges to possesses, to acquire, to investigate, and to know. Neither the good in us can embrace the truth, nor can the bad in us challenge and bring up the truth as an opposing force right in front of us. There are only two methods of meeting another being or thing, either as a friend or as a foe, either as something that we like or as something that we abhor. In neither way can we come to apprehend the individuality, the total personality, vyakti of the self, it being the subject both in its expression as an individual, yoga, and in its expansion as the cosmic vibhuti.
So, because the word vyaktim was used over here, कि तुम्हारी द व्यक्ति आइडेंटिटी पर्सनालिटी, भगवान की पर्सनालिटी को हम लोग नहीं समझ सकते, पर हमारी पर्सनालिटी में भी ये दो फोर्सेस होते हैं, राइट? सो एक तो होता है कि नोबल परसेप्शन एंड सो हे विथ ऑल दीज थिंग्स आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड हु गॉड इज, दैट्स वन पैथ. एंड व्हाट राक्षसास डू, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, पुट अ गन टू समबडीज हेड, do this right now, challenging, something like that. So, challenging to possess, to acquire, to investigate. I want to know this, by hook or crook, I have to know. Going with some kind of a negative force also is not going to help. Both ways. Dono ko cover kar diya. And then obviously that he just said, even in the world we meet, either somebody is our, kya bolte hain, friend or a foe. Those are the two forces are there. Maybe indifference bhi ho sakta hai, but they're just to make it like easier for us to understand, just look at the two ways. Indifferent होएगा तो कुछ करेगा ही नहीं आदमी, इग्नोर करेगा. बट अगर या तो फ्रेंड से उसको गले लगाएगा या फिर उसके साथ लड़ेगा or something, that way you can see it. So that's what it is, that with these, either one you cannot get it. So he's just, on one hand he's excited, पर उसको थोड़ा सा डिसअपॉइंटमेंट हो रहा है, मैं कैसे एक्सपीरियंस करूं. इसके लिए वो और पूछेगा भगवान को, मेरे को और बताओ, I have to learn from you. He doesn't want to just stop over here because he wants to go further with Bhagwan, picking his brain, I guess, that tell me more. That's where we are at this. And then of course that, what Swamiji is pointing out, that it is the force behind us, that is Bhagwan. It is the subjective thing. All my body, mind and intellect function because of Bhagwan. So it is, remember we talked about it. Something that is behind, you can't see, you only see the expression. So you have to understand it intellectually, subjectively and all that. And then the expression of Bhagwan is within us is yoga, and cosmic or macrocosm is vibhuti. So that's how he's approaching it.
If none can know the truth, why is Arjuna asking Krishna to explain? What exactly is the special quality that enables him to explain that which none else can even know?
So Swamiji just saying, hey, if nobody can understand him, neither Devata nor Danav, then what is, how he's going to do it? And why is Arjuna asking? So there is some more philosophy in it. And he's going to say that, you know yourself by yourself. It's like water will know what water is. Something like that, I don't know how to explain it. But when we come to that, we'll do more analysis of that,
So, Umaji, what is the actual word meaning of Vyaktim?
Vyaktim, here it says manifestation because it's talking about Bhagwan, right? But व्यक्ति किसको, हिंदी में किसको बोलते हैं? वो व्यक्ति ऐसा था, वैसा था, ऐसे करके हम लोग डिस्क्राइब करते हैं ना, उसकी पर्सनालिटी को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए. So you can say God's personality versus our personality. That's उस context में व्यक्ति को यूज किया गया है, personality. Any other question, comment? Anybody want to add anything?
Just want to know, he went, our Gurudev Ji went in a lot of deeper meaning, depth to it, right? As to the micro and the macro also. Also. But if I had just read that and not read his explanation, I would have just gone with the first paragraph exactly, is to know what he's about Arjuna's expression. But he went into more depth of it, even with the manifestation. I would look at the world. Is that what it is, the manifestation? You're talking about Vibhuti when we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, in the when you read the word translation of the verse, then see what it says. Oh, blessed Lord, neither the Devas nor the Danavas know your manifestation, your identity. I know what you're trying to say, that manifestation is this cosmos also, which manifests as a yoga. And so that's true in a way what you're saying. You know why? Because at the purest sense, there is nothing. It's just oneness and no manifestation. So you can take it that way too. So it has a double, triple meaning, the Vyaktim. So that's why Vedanta is such, you can literally take one word and write a whole essay. And especially the context also. Sometimes the meaning changes with the context. So that's why we need all the great people's commentary. Otherwise we won't even understand. We will just stop at this. Even with this subjective thing about negative qualities and positive qualities, and as I think I had discussed it, then even Kaurava and Pandavas, that symbolism is there. That they belong to the same family, same genes, but there were two different kinds of people, and the Pandavas were only 5, but the Kauravas were 100. So actually in us, the negative qualities are more. And the positive qualities are very few, but the symbolism is both 5 Pandavas were together, like a mutti, married to one, to the higher intellect, pure intellect. Huh? That's how the symbolism is. And then Pandavas surrendered to Krishna Bhagwan. So if you want to win in life, or if you want to, in spiritual life progress, first you have to gather all those good qualities, put them together, marry to your means, connect to the higher, purer person. And Draupadi, in spite of being married to 5, she's considered a very pure human being, And then surrender to Krishna Bhagwan, which is your higher intellect, pure intellect, highest one, from subjective one,
What is Draupadi considered as?
Draupadi is like, keeps them together. So your intellect, which keeps your good qualities together. It's a symbolism of marrying to that one all together. And then the other one is मुट्ठी होती है ना, किसी को पंच करो मुट्ठी से तो तुम उसका मुंह भी तोड़ सकते हो, लेकिन खाली एक उंगली से करोगे कुछ भी नहीं होएगा, right? So there's so much symbolism. It's such a beautiful symbolism. All these Swamis have analyzed it. It makes so much sense, right?
Yes.
That's why they were together, because you have to fight this 100 negative. So कुछ तो strength चाहिए कि नहीं? नहीं तो they will chew you up, this 100 negative qualities. So that's why they got to gather it together, be together, and surrender to the higher intellect, or pure intellect, as Krishna Bhagwan.
And once you talked about micro, how would you consider Ravan next? Because he was very pious. He was,
So Ravan का क्या था कि Ravan was, everything was great with him. But his attachments, his lower tendencies got to him. That's all it is. He got infatuated with Sita, somebody else's wife. So wrong action.
And arrogance.
That's another thing. Very good, Neelu. Arrogance that, hey, absolutely. Two things I think brought him down. So those are the dangers, right? Even a greatest person like Ravan. Sisi ne bola ki ladai karne mein wo Ramchandra se bhi kam nahi tha. But these two things brought him down. हाँ.
Yeah.
Exactly. उसका जो शिव तांडव स्तोत्र है, it's supposed to be the greatest puja of Shiva and all that. And even in Mahabharata, there are characters like Bhishma Pitama. Was so great, but he lined up with the wrong guys. He didn't have the courage to speak up when Draupadi was being disrobed. So those are the mistakes he made. And Karna they said was actually better than Arjun in fighting. But because he had line up with the bad guys, and the few mistakes he did, usko shrap वगैरह मिला. The bigger picture में they knew he was going to end up with the wrong guy, तो उसको श्राप वगैरह भी दे दिया. But there are very fine things and deeper meanings in each one, which is so fascinating. Means हमारे ऋषि मुनियों ने बोलते हैं ना केस स्टडी किया जो आजकल बोलते हैं कि मैनेजमेंट में करते हैं केस स्टडी वगैरह और साइंस में करते हैं. These are case studies of real life that that we can learn from. Yeah, very fascinating.
Thank you.
So, any other question, comment on Bhagavad Gita? And I can close Bhagavad Gita here. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.